So
Okay.
I'm really happy to speak with you. Can you tell me a little bit about what Freeman Capital is?
Yeah. So Freeman Capital is a financial planning company that is focused on giving people the 3 steps they need at a time that will result in their net worth going up. So like most firms focus on wealth management, we focus on building by helping those who aren't yet wealthy yet.
Hmm. Hmm. And what inspired you to actually? There are not too many Black owned companies like this. I used to be in banking, so I'm just very, this is not something that I remember seeing very much of. So what inspired you to start this company?
Yeah, so after I went to North Carolina A&T, and I had launched a web development firm there, and we had a number of success, and I went on and grew it. And I thought I was successful. I had bought my first house at 20, and then I went on to sell my business around 25 or 26. And I thought I was wealthy until I went to try and find a wealth manager. And it was then at that minute that I realized there are levels in wealth and I didn't meet the minimum.
Right.
And what I wanted someone to tell me what to do to build, sustain, and pass on generational wealth. And because I have a background in both technology and in finance, and I'm deeply connected to this problem, I just felt that I had to just try and solve it. So that's how we got here.
Well, I think the process of even getting um, a wealth manager, portfolio manager, et cetera, is daunting and
Oh,
intimidating by the
yes,
reasons that you just said. I
yes.
don't even have enough to start saving. So, what do you tell people who say, you know what, I'm living check to check, or
Yep.
things are really tight right now. I want to save, but I can't. What would
Yep.
you tell those people?
Yeah, so we specifically designed our company to help out this community, which is our community. So for us, like there is no minimum that you have to work with us. Like you could have $1, you could have no dollars. All right. And then the cost to work one-on-one with a human financial planner that can talk to you unlimited is less than the cost of Netflix.
Mm,
To make wealth building accessible, we have to make it in a way that is like the rest of these services that we buy.
mm,
That's why our costs start at that cost of Netflix. It's a monthly subscription that you can cancel at any time. And you don't even have to move your money to us in the beginning for us to start helping you. We wanted to make it easy for folks to get started, to test this out for them, because like most families in our community, wealth managers weren't knocking on my door to manage my wealth. And so most of us don't even know what it feels like. And that's like saying you don't know what it feels like to go to the doctor.
mhm.
And so we want to make wealth building as accessible as it should be to go to a doctor as well.
Are there little changes that, your average person can make to begin to even think about wealth building in that way? I don't think we're always kind of in this kind of rob Peter to pay Paul kind
Mm-hmm.
of,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that's kind of passed down. So
Right.
for people like me, and I always reference, my generation because it's usually the generation that went to college versus our families, and
Yep.
we're thinking about it differently, 401ks and investing and
Yep.
things like that. Are
Yep.
there little things that we could do just in our day-to-day lives to allow us to have more to save?
So there's a lot. And what we start with is a really important part that you mentioned. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's been passed down generation to generation, habits that aren't lending themselves to building wealth. It can be from like the way that even my parents said, we don't have, McDonald's money for that right now. Like these phrases, they become psychological triggers that cause us to repeat the habits that came before. And so the first thing that we do at Freeman Capital is that we focus on understanding someone's psychology and feelings around money. because even just avoiding, because I can remember a time when I was first coming out of college, and my business had gone through a tough time. This was a previous business when I was in my 20s, and things were hard. And I got those pink envelopes, those blue envelopes. Like, those who don't know, those aren't good envelopes. That means that you're behind, you're about to get stuff paid off, and you avoid those. Yeah. And so we have to first deal with getting comfortable with even understanding the current situation without shame. Mm-hmm. And once you can look at your own situation without shame, then you can start to take steps forward to help to improve cash flow, to help to consider how you can, use your 401k and things. But it starts first internally, and valuing that it is okay. Like, I didn't have the information. No one was there to help me. I made mistakes. Our planners have been there and have helped out thousands of clients in their lifespan. And so for us, it's about starting there, because once that pivot happens, then you get people motivated and believing that they can do it. And that's really what we are trying to do here.
It really is about a mindset. I can tell you, as a banker, I used to teach financial literacy courses to teenagers. And it was always shocking how many of our Black teenagers had no idea how to write a check, how to go to a bank, fill out deposit and withdrawal slips, because everything was electronic. Zelle, PayPal, Cash App, things of that nature. And really, even some of them who had jobs, I'd ask them, have you looked at your pay stub? And they'd look at me blank. They had not looked at their own pay stubs. So it made me think, because I have teenagers, I have a 19-year-old. Mm-hmm. And I remember my mother sitting me down and saying, this is how we write a check. This is how you balance a checkbook. Talking to me about credit and all these things before, I went, to school. So it's been one of the things I really think is lacking, because there is no training in schools. There's no discussion about it. Right. And as parents, if we don't have that information about saving and investing and building wealth, we can't teach it to our young people. Do you have anything or any advice for young adults just starting out when they can, they always tell you start early, you know?
Yeah. So what we advocate is really around education, and then giving them the steps on how to get them going. And so for us, it starts off with first around maximizing your emergency fund, like really understanding the value of having cash on hand. So you don't have to go to a credit card to then have to pay interest on this expense. So it comes down to that's a foundational component of seeing a emergency fund as the first step in building wealth. Then it comes down to, how can we best optimize your cash flow? Whether that means improving how your debts are being paid off, looking at your expenses and how to consolidate, or, we are a advocate of straight talk with our clients. We know that due to the wealth gap, that communities that are behind, which is ours, might have to do more to catch up. And so folks who wanted to take a leap forward, like, hey, I want to buy a house one day, but I am stuck in this cycle. I can't figure it out. We have advocated people like, hey, can you move in with a family member? Can you take on a roommate? Let's talk about what real tactics that you will be willing to sacrifice for right now, so that in a few years you can be where you want to be. And the sooner that we have those conversations, the better off that person will be, that family, and our community.
Now, when you talk about wealth, I guess what is wealth to you?
Yeah. I'm so happy that you asked that question, right? Because everyone thinks of wealth like we're talking about Elon Musk, LeBron James, that's wealth, right? But I want to redefine what is wealth, because the reason why this company is named Freeman Capital is that I named it after my great grandparents, George and Evelyn Freeman. They're first generation, born out of segregation. They were able to buy one house and buy a second house. This is 1950 time, right? Like, this is early. But that step was a step of building wealth. They weren't millionaires, but they did the best they could. And then they decided to set up the next generation to do even better. And that is what we're focused on. So it's how can we help you be in a situation to reach your life goals? And then defining that. So it's not about, you might not be on Forbes 100 richest people in the world, right? But can you live a lifestyle to where you can impact your community, your family, and what matters most to you? Because wealth can be defined in a lot of ways. It's about freedom of time, freedom of travel. It's about, it's about all of these aspects that all come together to be a prosperous and wealthy life. And that's what we're trying to help our clients do.
Yeah. Can you go into just a little more detail for those? Are the subscription services kind of tiered? Are there different levels? Can you
They
talk a
are
little
tiered,
bit
correct. Yeah, so the first tier is at $24 per month. The next one is $49, and then it goes up to $250 for folks who might be a business owner with complex maths and things like that. But we wanted to build our tiers from, and then we have free too as well. You get free education. We do webinars and things like that. So we wanted to build a plan for each part of our community so that they can take the next step forward. And that's the whole pillar of what we're talking about here.
Okay. Can you tell people where they can find you and secure your services? How can people get started if they're ready? Especially we're at the beginning of the year, people start thinking about changes they want to make. So how can people get in touch with you guys?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's new year, new me. So we're happy to welcome that. You can come to freemancapital.co. So it's not .com, it's .co. And you can go there and you can sign up. You can chat with a member of our team. We have phone lines, like, we're all real people here. We want to help you guys get started. So that's exactly where to do it. freemancapital.co.
Wonderful. Do you have anything else that you'd like the Chicago Defender audience to know about your company and or building wealth?
I think that the last thing that I would say is that we want to instill the belief that you can build more wealth than you think you can. If you take a few changes, 2 to 3 per month, you'll find yourself in a whole new place by the end of next year. And there's no better time to start than right now. And so we just really encourage folks to take a step out and try something new to build wealth. And, the great thing too is that if you're not satisfied, we will give you a refund for this service. And so we want to remove all of the stigma and make building wealth easy. And we look forward to helping out as many people as we can.
Real quick. So would you suggest that people give themselves a year, when they're starting this process at minimum before they're able to really start seeing something concrete?
No, so yes, that would be great. But the way that we design our service is that we know that for most of our customers, it's the first time they've ever worked with a planner. Mm-hmm. And so we say, just give us 1 or 2 months. Within that first month or 2, you will have a convo with your planner. You'll get a customized plan. And then as you take those steps, you should see your net worth increase. And then if it happened once, we hope they can do it twice and on from there. So you don't have to be committed for a year. Just try us out for a month or 2. And I am sure that you'll find yourself in a better place.
Wonderful.
Come on over. It's really important for us to have diverse planners. So, they're either all, we want to have planners to meet our community needs as well. So they're very diverse, and they're mostly women too, because we also know that, women are crushing it now. And so we want to remove the stigma of like, will this person judge me? Because I know I felt that. Like, let's just get to building wealth and not let me try and sell who I am to make you think that you should service me. Like, we all know how that feels. Like, you don't have to code switch here. You can be your authentic self and just get right into the building wealth process.
Well, thank you so much for talking to the Chicago Defender. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.